Angry MGTOW here. The mellow MGTOW. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The mellow MGTOW. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you imagine if I got a copyright inquiry for singing the mellow MGTOW song? Someone's like, we own mellow MGTOW. Like, that, we came up with that tune. We totally came up with the mellow MGTOW. Uh huh. Yeah. So Angry MGTOW here, and today we'll be discussing why beautiful white women will be homeless. This is a response to Keltie. We're going to go ahead and jump into the video. Up to this point, I've been showing you a lot of videos that deal with women who have been living in cars, while I've also touched on a few videos where women have actually been on the street. However, most of those women have looked like crackheads. This video, I'll be showing you a beautiful woman who is evidently homeless, and she also has a baby. So we're going to go ahead, jump right into the video and see what she has to say about her current situation.
We're here today, it's Friday, it's June 28th at Boycott the Palm. Here we are at the Palm restaurant right here, Skyline Park 2. And this is a young woman that we ran into while we're boycotting the Palm, and she is homeless, and she has a really cute little boy. Isn't he cute? Oh my goodness. Hi, sweetie. And then she has another little boy right here. Isn't he adorable? And this family is homeless in Denver, and I wanted to ask her some questions. Hi, thanks for doing this. So, how long have you been homeless in Denver?
For 6 months.
For 6 months.
So, this is a single mother with children. When I was homeless, I saw beautiful women who didn't have children. But this is a single mother with children, 2 boys. And it's interesting because you have to ask where the father is. And in this circumstance, it's going to be a couple of things. 1, he's either in jail. 2, he may end up, he may just be a scumbag, and she's not going to have she can't have anything to do with him. Or, again, there's a variety of things, but it's pretty clear that it doesn't appear that she's collecting child support, although she very well could be, but it may not be enough to get a place to live. It's, again, and it's funny because she's on the street with these children, she has a baby and a little boy on the street. And I'll tell you something else. When I was homeless, there was this woman, Hispanic woman. She was very young. She was pretty young. She was young. She was a girl, and she was pregnant on the street. And she used to hang around with 2 guys. Then she had the baby, and she went right back to being homeless on the street with the baby. They let her leave the hospital with the baby, and she went right back to being homeless on the street with the baby. And after a while, I didn't see her, so maybe she got into a shelter. But it was just psychotic to think that she went back on the street with the baby, and she had the baby around all these same homeless people, druggy homeless people that that we were around before. I'll tell you guys something. When I was homeless, I lost. When I was homeless, I was working on my thesis, and it was so hard because I told you guys I earned a master's while I was homeless, and I was working on my thesis, and I lost my my laptop got stolen. I had a Chromebook. My laptop got stolen, and at that point, I thought everything was over. There was no way I would be able to finish this thesis, and there was another homeless guy, and he told me, what you do is just go to the library, and there was a 2-hour limit on the computers every day. And I said, there's no way I can write a thesis working on it for 2 hours every single day. And there were people who were doing cocaine and drugs, other homeless people. And there was this homeless guy who was telling me that I should try some, I could try some heroin, or I can even try some crack. And I thought, and I was so low at that point in my life that I honestly thought about doing it. I was so like, it was a pinnacle moment where I thought about getting it and just doing it, and that was going to be the end of it for me. And I almost gave up. Like that was one of the most critical moments in my life where I almost did hardcore drugs. Like the most I've ever tried in my entire life was marijuana, and I tried some when I went to spring break in Jamaica once, and that was a number of years ago. That was over 10 years ago, almost 15 years ago. Actually, almost 15 years ago. I've never done hardcore drugs. I've never done heroin or crack or even cocaine. But when I was homeless, I almost did it, and the hardest part of my life was saying no and suffering and struggling to complete my thesis while homeless, working on it 2 hours a day on a library computer and emailing it back and forth to myself to save it. That was one of the most difficult times in my life. And the reason why I share that story with you is because, homelessness is a miserable thing. And it's funny because I was able to lift myself out of homelessness. God helped me get out of homelessness. But women like this, they have these children, and she doesn't look homeless. If you looked at her, you would think she wasn't homeless. So she's obviously taking care of herself to some degree. She may be staying somewhere, or maybe in a shelter. I don't know. She doesn't have a place to live. And here she is with her children on the street. And as shit hits the fan, there's going to be more and more women like her who end up on the street. And they're not going to have the resilience to get through these difficult times. And many of them are going to turn to drugs. Many of them are going to turn to prostitution. Many of them are going to turn to many insidious activities. And a lot of them will lose their children. Because being homeless is no place to raise kids. Raising children on the streets is a horrible thing. It's a horrible place to raise children. And we're going to see more and more women losing their kids. Someone says she might be panhandling. She doesn't look like the type of woman who panhandles, although she might be asking for money. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if she was involved in prostitution. I'm not saying she's involved in prostitution, but I'm saying it wouldn't shock me if she was involved in prostitution, because a lot of women get involved in that when they end up on the streets. And she has 2 little boys with her. And imagine that they're growing up on the streets with their mother, and they are exposed to so many different things. And there's going to be a lot of shit hitting the fan. Sean Lecca says she's staying in a shelter for sure. Well, we'll see what this woman says if she's actually staying in a shelter. She definitely, her hair, makeup, clothes, she definitely looks clean. So I've seen a lot of homeless people. She doesn't look filthy. So she's definitely maintaining her upkeep to some degree. But at the end of the day, regardless, homelessness is not something to laugh about. It's not something to joke about. It's a very, very difficult thing. TD says, lol, Angry MGTOW is on a roll today, 6th video now. This is actually the 7th video, technically the 8th video, but the other video got deleted because of copyright music, which was only temporary. Lion of MGTOW points out that poverty is hell. Poverty is hell. And again, it's not a laughing matter. As Trump cuts social benefits, as Section 8 gets cut, Medicaid gets cut, Medicare gets cut, food stamps, WIC, all of these programs, as all of these programs get cut, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have more and more of these women on the streets with their children. And I want to say a lot of these women are going to lose their kids, but to be honest, a lot of these families are going to just have these kids on the street because the government is going to overlook a lot of them as well. The government is not going to want to take in a lot of these children. They're going to leave them there. They're going to leave them on the streets. It's not a joke. It's the honest truth.
Have you tried to get into any shelters with you and your family?
Yes, and they're usually full, and we cycle through them when we can, but we spend most of the time outside.
So there you guys have it. Some people were saying she's definitely in a shelter. She said that they're usually full and they cycle through them when they can. So she does stay at a shelter sometimes. However, they stay outside most of the time. And there you have it. There you have it. Women ultimately made this bed for themselves, and now they're going to have to lay in it.
Outside, do you run into Denver Police Department?
Absolutely.
How often?
Maybe 3-4 times a week, sometimes more.
Oh my God. Do you find that the services in Denver, the food and clothing banks, do you find them centralized in one location, or are they all in one location, or do you find yourself having to walk all over town to try to find service? It's all over. So,
I mean, this is kind of a joke. She's asking her, are the food banks and clothing banks in one place, or do you have to walk all over the place to get to them? And she's like, all over. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, so you think that everything should be handed to you? Like, you think that because you're homeless, you know, society is supposed to be built around providing you with free stuff? It's like, it's a downright joke. Like, I mean, listen to this entitled woman who's doing the interview acting like somehow Denver is supposed to accommodate the homeless and make sure it's easy for them to, you know, get food and shelter and, you know, and basically walk in a circle. When I was homeless, that was one of the biggest problems. That homeless people used to literally just walk in a circle because everything was right around each other. They would go from one place to the other place to the other place to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then they would get food from people who would bring food to them during the day. I mean, again, homelessness, you could make homelessness into a career. You could make homelessness into a career. I was homeless, and it was a miserable way to live. And you could make homelessness into a career. There's some people who had been on the streets for 30, 40, 50 years. And that's one of the reasons why I have a bit of animosity towards some homeless people, because I know what they've been doing. They've been out there for so many years. They've been begging. They've been collecting all this money. Many of them get a check from the government, while people like me who actually worked and paid into the system can't get anything. And then they turn around and act like, you know, they act like conservatives are the devil and Obama is their savior. And it's like, I'm just looking at these people like they are so good for nothing. They suck, and they suck from society, and then they blame society for everything. And I don't feel sorry for this woman. I honestly do not feel sorry for this woman, because she's sitting there with 2 kids, and I'm saying to myself, where are their father? She either chased their father off, or she had children with someone or multiple men who were very low value, thugs, whatever you want to call them. And that's why she's in this situation right now, because no decent father, no decent man would want his children on the streets. I didn't say the woman, I said the children.
if the city of Denver took DenverHomelessOutLoud.org's recommendations and opened a safe, well-lit, secure place to sleep at night, would you and your family go there, even if it was a tent city?
Yes, that would be awesome, because already, it's hard being homeless, having to sleep, under bridges and cracks between walls and by the highway. We get harassed by the police every day. It's not.
So guys, I hope you heard what she just said. She said sleeping under bridges and cracks between the walls. Did you hear what she said? She sleeps under bridges and cracks between the walls. Guys, you think this is a joke. A lot of you MGTOW are saying this isn't possible. It's not possible that a pretty girl like this is living like that. It's just impossible. It's a scam. Guys, you don't realize that feminism is a scam. Feminism is one big lie that's been told to women, letting them think that they can actually live these great lives and that Uncle Sam will always take care of them and they'll always be safe and protected. The reality of things is that women are falling in this country. There's a lot of women who fall through the cracks. And as entitlements begin to run out, you're going to have more and more women living like this. If you notice, she just mentioned tent cities. Tent cities are horrible places. They stink. And essentially, tent cities, that's the damn near equivalent of a FEMA camp, which is what I keep talking about. A FEMA camp, the only difference between a tent city and a FEMA camp is more or less that FEMA camps are basically centralized by the government. The thing is, with tent cities, they're usually quarantined off as well. So in many ways, they're almost one and the same. And you're going to see women like this with their children when shit hits the fan. When Donald Trump cuts Section 8, when Section 8 gets cut, there are going to be millions. I didn't say dozens. I didn't say tens of thousands. I said millions. There are going to be millions of women and their children on the streets. They're going to be on the streets. They're going to be begging for help, and no one will come to their help. There will be no Prince Charming. There will be no knight riding in on a steed. There won't be any of that. These women are going to be homeless. Their children will be homeless, and there will be no one to save them. There will be no Captain Save-A-Ho coming to their rescue, as they have created the situation for themselves, as they have created their own despair. Honest to goodness truth, women have created their own misery, and now they'll be laying in the beds that they created for themselves. And I don't feel sorry for them. I am not sympathetic for them, because they brought the situation onto themselves. I do, however, feel sorry for their children, and I want you to have a look at her, because she said that she's living under bridges. I told you guys that when I was homeless, they constantly found women, naked bodies, young women constantly naked, dead under bridges. They were raped and killed. It was a frequent thing. There was a situation where there was a women, there was like 2 or 3 women, and they were in a tent, and a group of men ran in on them. Homeless women. They ran into the tent, and they had like knives, and from what I understand, the women were assaulted. They were raped in there. And it was downright ridiculous, guys. And this shit happens. This shit really does happen. But women are so protected by feminism, where they're busy worrying about how sexist air condition is. They don't realize that in a reality where there is no government handouts, when they end up homeless, the police will harass them and not even pay much attention to them, because they'll see them as lower value. And there are bastards of society, bastards of single mothers, men who don't give a fuck, who will attack these women, who will take advantage of these women. And to be very honest with you, when they get raped, they can go and ask themselves, do I even want to go and report it? Because when they go and report it, it puts them into the system, and by putting themselves into the system, it creates a whole different situation for them. Many rapes that happen on the streets, many homeless women who get raped, I don't even think they report them. Some of them do, many of them don't, many of them won't, because it's gonna overburden them. So a lot of these homeless women who find themselves getting raped on the streets won't even report the rape. They won't even report them. It'll just be a fact of life. While feminists are roaming the streets laughing and screaming about rape culture, there will actually be women out there legitimately being raped and harassed and threatened by bastards of single mothers who don't give a damn about the law, and even some men who hate women. I remember there were men who would go around and actually set homeless people on fire. You think it's a game? It's not a game. Homelessness is frightening. Well, imagine if her children get killed or molested while on the streets as well. This is not a game. This is no way to live. But women have created the scenario for themselves. They've created the scenario for their children, and this is the future that they are entering now. You're going to see more and more women like her, not ugly, beautiful women who find themselves homeless and hungry, and literally living in FEMA camps, tent cities, with other homeless, quarantined off from the rest of society. And they cannot blame anyone for their circumstance, because they will have been the ones that put themselves there. It's a sad and miserable situation, but women brought this onto themselves. They wanted everything plus the kitchen sink, and now nothing's left. They tore the house down.
I want to just feel secure in my transition of trying to better my kids and myself.
How old are you?
20.
You're 20? Wow. Thank you very much for speaking to me this evening.
You're welcome.
So she was 20 years old. 20, and she had 2 kids and was homeless. This is the future for so many women. It's just hilarious. And I'm telling you guys, Uncle Sam is kicking these women off welfare, kicking them off government assistance, and when shit hits the fan, they are going to say, "Men, please help us," and there's going to be a resounding amount of silence. It's going to be a ton of silence. Men are going to go silent. They are not going to help these women, and the manginas and simps are going to look to society to save them. These same white knights, they're going to retreat and hide as they can't find anything. They're going to literally look to society to take care of them as well. They're going to look to other men to help them. They're going to say, "Hey bro, could you help me out?" I am being completely serious. You're going to see the white knights begging on the streets like women. There's going to be tons of women just walking up to men asking for help, many of them trying to sell sex. Sex is going to be the first thing that they try selling, but it's not going to sell. The price of sex has been falling for a long time now, and it's going to fall even lower, because when they try to sell sex, a lot of men are going to downright reject it, because the juice is no longer worth the squeeze. So many men are fed up with feminism, fed up with women in general, that they're simply going to turn them down. And let me tell you something. When hunger sets in, hunger is a real bitch. And hunger can make people do very crazy and irrational things based on emotion and incoherent thoughts. When you are hungry, you are not thinking straight. Starvation is nothing to joke about. And I've said it before, beautiful white women will be homeless, and homelessness will teach women humility. However, it's going to take time, and many of them it's going to be very difficult for them to get the learning curve, because they've been raised thinking that they're a princess, they're a goddess, they can literally snap their fingers and things will happen, and they're literally going to have a lot of cognitive dissonance when they discover that it doesn't work like that they are not goddesses, they are not great, they are not immortals, they are human beings, and they are weaker. They are weaker individuals who need men to protect them, and they're going to literally regret it, because they won't be able to find men who want to protect them, men who will help them, because they've literally killed off their protectors, and they're going to be surrounded by weak and effeminate men. And like I said, the men like us, the MGTOWs, are not going back to the plantation. We're not going to give our resources to these women. Some MGTOWs will laugh, many will just ignore them entirely. The prepper men are not going to give these women their resources, and other women are not going to help these women. They are going to simply focus on themselves and survival. Like I said, it won't be society that collapses, it will be people that collapse. You're going to literally have these zombies, people walking in society looking like the Walking Dead. You think that, and you're going to think society has ended, when in reality, you have the Walking Dead outside, and then on the other side of town, you have people hanging Christmas lights. You're going to have a very divided society of the haves and have-nots, and no one's going to feel sorry for these people, because these are going to be the people that have been living off government benefits for the last 30, 40 years, and they're going to sit there and crying to the news cameras, saying that, Trump is such an evil man. Sure, they've been on benefits for 20, 30 years, but, they were trying, because times are hard. Times are really hard. For the last 20 or 30 years, it's just been hard. Even our 10 years, they've been on food stamps and sectioning for 10 years, but they've been trying for 10 years. They have all these kids, they just need a little bit of help. They need a little bit of help, even though it's been 10 fucking years living off the government. Guys, this is what society is headed for. There's going to be more beautiful white women, more beautiful women in general, just living on the streets, and they are going to literally find themselves without help, and men saying, "No, we will not give you our resources. We will not turn around and bail you out. You put yourself in this circumstance. You put yourself in this situation, and you're going to have to live with it. You're going to have to live in the bed that you made for yourself." That is what women have done. That is the reality of things. And ultimately, I don't feel sorry for women, and most men will not feel sorry for them, because this is the reality of things. This is what they have created for themselves. I want to know if you guys agree. I want to know if you agree that beautiful white women will be homeless, and it's going to be in great numbers. It's going to be a great number of women who are in this situation, and men are not going to feel sorry for them, and men are not going to bail them out of it. with that said, I want to remind you that I make at least 3 of these videos per day, plus bonus videos, so please consider becoming a Patreon. You can click on the Patreon link on my YouTube homepage, or you can find a link to my Patreon in the description of this video. And when you become a Patreon, you can get all these great rewards. But again, you can become a Patreon for as little as $5. Becoming a Patreon, it helps to ensure I continue to put out quality content, and you become a regular sponsor of my work. So again, please definitely go ahead and check out my Patreon. And also, never miss another Angry MGTOW video by enabling oh shit. Sorry about that. Never miss another Angry MGTOW video by enabling notifications. You can enable notifications by clicking on the little bell next to the subscribe button. And to get there, you just you can go to any video, any of my videos. Under the video, just click on the notification button next to the subscribe button. You'll see a pop-up that says send me all notifications for this channel. Just make sure the little box is checked, then hit save. If you've already done it, you don't have to do it again. And by doing this, you'll always receive a notification whenever I'm live streaming or whenever I put out a brand new video. So let me know if you agree that beautiful white women and women just in general are going to end up homeless, and they are going to ask for help. They're going to say, men save us, but men are not going to come to the rescue this time. Men are either going to say no, or more likely they're going to just be silent. After all the things that feminism has done to men, men are not going back. Men are not going to help them, and the manginas that they've enabled and that they've propped up in society are not real men. They'll basically fall by the wayside, running into their basements, or essentially starving to death. Many will starve to death. So let me know what you think in the comment section. If you like the video, definitely go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MGTOW or death. And cheers.